Guys, you're about to spend $400 more than you need to on an iPad. Now, I know that's a bold claim because you have not even watched the video yet, but I have tested every iPad that Apple makes, and I've seen this pattern time and time again to recognize it clearly. On the spec sheets, the iPad Pro is doing a lot of work that the hardware actually does not do. There's actually one line in particular, and I'm going to show it to you right now, that makes the iPad Pro's biggest selling point almost disappear for most buyers. Now, before I show you that number, let's set a baseline. Today, we're talking about the M4 iPad Air that came out in spring 2026, as well as the M5 iPad Pro that came out in the fall of 2025. From here on out, I'm just going to refer to them as the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. The iPad Air is this wonderful blue color. The iPad Pro is this silver color with a sticker on the back. Also, I won't be going into speeds and feeds or synthetic benchmarks because largely I don't really think that they matter. From a user perspective, I'm going to be talking about what it feels like to use these devices in hand on a day-to-day basis. Now, let's talk about the iPad Air. Now, the iPad Air comes in an 11-inch and a 13-inch size. Here's the 11-inch, and this is available in $599 or $799. And you're really just going to choose the iPad that feels best in the hands. Now, both of these iPads have a liquid retina display. It is bright, it is color accurate, it's fully laminated, so that means that when you're interacting with the content, it feels like your finger is sitting right above the content or right above on the glass itself. Now, in terms of peak brightness, the 11-inch has 500 nits of peak brightness, while the 13-inch has 100 nits more, or 600 nits of peak brightness, and nits just a fancy way of measuring the brightness of a display. But what that means is, practically speaking, that whether you're using the 11-inch or the 13-inch, they will both be plenty bright near a sunny window, and you shouldn't have any trouble reading them. Now, honestly, for most of what I do and what most people will be using this for, it's plenty bright enough to use on a day-to-day basis. Now, Apple just updated the chipset, which is the M4 chip that is in here, and this was actually the same processor that Apple has been using in their MacBook Air and their MacBook Pro up until just this past fall or winter. So it is a very capable chipset. It offers smooth multitasking, snappy app launches, and full Apple Intelligence support. Now, here at the top, this is going to be Touch ID, which is a great feature. To unlock and lock your device, we have USB-C, which is going to be capped at 10 gigabytes per second, as well as supporting 5G cellular. And I think that even if you don't use it day to day, or if you consider not using it from month to month, having the option to have 5G on your iPad is a great feature. It really will change how you use your device. Now, speaking of 5G, the reason why that's enabled is because we have Apple's brand new N1 networking chip that also enables Wi-Fi 7, so you get faster throughput on your home network. You get Bluetooth 6, which offers a lower latency, and offers Threads connectivity for HomeKit as well. Now, this works with the Apple Pencil Pro. It has squeeze gesture support, barrel rotation, all the goods about the Apple Pencil, which is right here. And that connects right to the side of your iPad and charges magnetically. Now, if you didn't want to spend the $130 on the Apple Pencil Pro, you have the option for the Apple Pencil USB-C, which is about $80. It does just almost the same things. It doesn't have some of the cool rotational features, but it's about $50 less than what you would need to spend on the Apple Pencil Pro. This also works with the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Air, full productivity setup available right out of the box. All you do is connect the iPad to the keyboard via the magnets here that are on the back. You don't need to charge it. It's dead simple. Now, in terms of battery life, the battery life is almost the same on the devices, based on the manufacturer's claim. I'll tell you, it quotes you about 10 hours of battery life on the iPad Air or the iPad Pro. But on the iPad Air, you're going to get about 8.5, or 9 hours of real-world usage on the 11-inch or the 13-inch iPad Air. The bigger the screen, the more battery it draws, so they're going to be relatively the same. Now, in terms of what it supports, it does offer iPadOS 26 full support. That means multitasking, Stage Manager, window multitasking, all over USB-C, and it handles all this without breaking a sweat. That means you can use the iPad Air to browse the web, read email, edit photos, edit video, anything that a pro camera can shoot 4K, and you won't have any issues whatsoever. The iPad Air is built to handle it. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, is this even really for me, or is this overkill? Well, this is built for someone, you're a student, you are a writer, creator, and really anyone who wants to replace their computer with something a little bit smaller, a little bit more conformable. The iPad Air is for you. And it really lives in that 85 to 90% sweet spot of what most people do on their tablet. Now, granted, some people will want the iPad Pro. Some people will think that it's worth spending $400. Now, if that's you, the iPad Pro section is coming up next. Apple's newest flagship tablet is the M5 iPad Pro, and it's available in 11-inch, what we have here, for $999, or there's the 13-inch, which is $1299, and that's a $400 difference between the iPad Pro and the iPad Air. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, Mike, why do I need to spend $400 extra? What do I even get for that $400? Well, here we have what Apple is calling their tandem OLED display, giving you 1600 nits of peak brightness and 1000 nits for common use cases, so everyday use. It is the best display that you can interact with, period, unless you have the brand new Studio Display XDR. Otherwise, it's the best display that you can have on a mobile device, not just Apple's, any device, full stop. The display panel itself is 120 hertz of ProMotion. What that means is that screen itself will refresh twice per second. That's how you get 120. And that makes the Apple Pencil feel more immediate and more measurable when you're using it. So if you're an artist, you are a creative, you're drawing, the Apple Pencil Pro will feel much smoother than it does with the iPad Air. The iPad Air has a 60 hertz refresh rate, so it refreshes once every second. The other key differentiator is that this has Face ID to having Touch ID, and that's probably the undersold feature. If you are coming from an iPhone that has Face ID, picking up an iPad that has Touch ID feels like a step backwards, like you're in the prehistoric era. And once you pick it up and you start doing it, you almost forget that you were able to just swipe up and unlock your iPad the same way that you're doing your phone. It is a friction that seriously will compound over time, and you might get frustrated. You also get 4-speaker audio, whether you're holding it in landscape or portrait. That means that you're gonna get meaningfully better media consumption without headphones. So if you're someone who likes to use your iPad as a kind of a speaker in a room, it's gonna sound much better. Now the port on the bottom has been meaningfully updated. It is still USB-C in terms of a connector, but it has Thunderbolt 4. That means that you're gonna get faster throughput and you're actually gonna get faster speeds if you're connected to an external display, a camera, any type of peripheral that requires more bandwidth. This will be the iPad that you want to get. It supports up to 120 hertz refresh rate on external monitors as well, something that is not capable with the iPad Air. Additionally, we have Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and optional 5G support, same as the iPad Air. And there is a LiDAR scanner here on the back. I don't know who even uses it. If you do, let me know. But more meaningfully, there is faster charging on the iPad Pro, where it charges up to 50% in about 30 minutes. New with the iPad Pro is the Magic Keyboard. The Magic Keyboard this year has been updated. It has got a full row of function keys. It has a haptic trackpad on it compared to a physical click trackpad on the one for the iPad Air. Largely, there's not really a lot of difference. There's some material difference, but if you're not buying the iPad Air, it doesn't necessarily matter. You would never notice it because it's just not for you anyways. We've talked about what's new in both the iPad Air as well as the iPad Pro, but before I get into which one I would actually spend my money on, I want to take a moment here to thank today's video sponsor, which is ESR. Now, whether your choice is the iPad Air or the iPad Pro, the Shift magnetic case turns your iPad into 5 different tools depending on what you need. You could prop it up for a movie, you could switch it to portrait mode when you're taking a FaceTime call, you could take it and stick it to your fridge while you're cooking, or even detach it from the back frame when you want to go and take notes without the additional bulk. It will adapt to whatever you're doing. The stand itself is rock solid, it has wide support brackets on the back, plus really strong magnets. Means it's not going anywhere, whether it's here on your desk, whether you're sitting on the couch, or it is on your lap. And when you want to go full hands-on mode, the back case detaches completely from the frame, so you get protection when you need it, and it gets out of the way when you don't, which is actually very important. Now, if you even want to add an additional layer of extra protection, don't forget to check out their Armorite tempered glass screen protector. Easy to put on, and it still works with your Apple Pencil. You can check out both items at the first link in the description. I want to thank ESR for sponsoring today's video. So really, what is the advantage of choosing the iPad Pro in comparison to the iPad Air? Now, if you remember in the beginning, I mentioned that there was a performance feature that was the same whether you chose the iPad Air or the iPad Pro. Well, here we go. Whether you're choosing the $599 11-inch iPad Air or the $1,299 13-inch iPad Pro, both devices ship with 12 gigs of unified memory, so there's really no advantage to choosing the larger, more expensive iPad Pro over the smaller, inexpensive iPad Air, other than screen size. You are not getting more RAM on that device until you go to the 1 terabyte version iPad Pro, and that costs you $1,599 on the 11-inch, and it's $1999 on the 13-inch. So all the features or all the inherent benefits that you would get for having a more powerful iPad don't kick in until you spend $1,000 more. And that's an extra $600 for 4 gigs of extra RAM. I don't know. I don't think most people are going to be able to use it or even actually be able to fill the amount of RAM on there. But you let me know what you think. Is it worth paying more for more RAM on the iPad Pro in comparison to the iPad Air? I don't think so, but I'd love to hear from you guys. So it's decision time. Which iPad is for you? Which iPad is for me? Because I actually have to buy a new iPad as well. You get the 11-inch iPad Air. You have the 11-inch iPad Pro. I think for 85% of the people out here, including my son, the iPad Air is the way to go. It's not because the iPad Pro is bad. The iPad Pro hardware is exceptional. It's because the vast majority of people that are watching this, the iPad Air delivers the same exact experience, folks. Same app performance, same multitasking performance, really in the same package, $400 less at starting price. The M4 is not meaningfully slower than the M5 in workflows that people are using every day. And the RAM that we talked about, it's near identical until you get to that $1599 starting point. The Pro's real advantages are Face ID, speakers, better display system, and ProMotion. Those are all genuinely felt, especially Face ID when you're using it every day, especially if you're coming from an iPhone. It's a downgrade when you go to unlock it every day. I won't pretend that it's not real, but if you're upgrading from an older iPad Pro, A12X, A12Z, up through I think the M2, even an older iPad Air, the M4 iPad Air is going to be a giant leap for your workflow, and it's absolutely the right call. If you're being honest with yourself about how you actually use the iPad, iPad Air covers the vast majority of it. It's going to save you $400. That's either going to stay right back in your pocket or buy something that's more meaningful than just the screen and the refresh rate that the Pro has. The Air is my default choice, and like I said, I did buy this for my son to replace his aging iPad Air, and I think it's the iPad for most people. Now, if you want the most capable iPad for everyday use, it's going to be the iPad Air. Otherwise, you're going to have to spend an extra $400 to get the iPad Pro. It's not that it's not worth it, but you got to be able to push it to get that value out of it. Now, links to everything I talked about, plus the best prices, are down in the video description. Now, hopefully you found value from today's video, me giving you a framework, how to choose which device is best for you. If you did, consider hitting like on this video, maybe even subscribing for more content. Now, if you are with the Air or the Pro and you want to find out which keyboard to buy for your iPad, I got a playlist. Otherwise, YouTube has a video for you, which is the video that they think that you will like the most. That's going to be up here. Guys, my name is Mike, and I am out of here.